Holy, dude, huge tarantula. Wow.
No. Not that way. Not that way.
My name is Evan, and this is Harrison. We're twin brothers following our dream to share the true life stories of the animals we love to help you become an insider in the natural world. We've come to the tropical dry forests of western Ecuador to investigate how the wildlife here is being affected by human development. And this is a perfect place to do this kind of work because we have incredible access to both active human settlements and well-preserved stands of dry forest. So far, we've spent our time exploring developed areas with only small remnant patches in natural habitat. But tonight, we're venturing out into a truly wild tropical dry forest for the very first time. Our goal is to give you an insider look at this ecosystem's most bizarre and fascinating life stories, to show you what this habitat is supposed to look like without human intervention, and make a case for why the dry forest needs to be on all of our radars when it comes to conserving tropical wildlife. We're exploring a part of this region that's rarely seen by people, and it was new to us too, so as we set off into the darkness, we had no idea what to expect. Trust me when I tell you, this is not the easiest habitat to explore. The vegetation is incredibly dense, and under the cover of night, all of the landmarks that were visible during the day began to blend together into the shadowy backdrop of the jungle. But after spending a while carefully navigating through the forest, our efforts paid off, and our first find of the night turned out to be a very unique reptile.
Bro, we got a snake. Hold on. Got it.
Ooh, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy.
Wow, all right. Let's take a look. I think this is a forest flame snake, but it's really weird. It has a different coloration than I'm used to. Normally, these guys have a lot of red banding running down their whole body, but this one is completely black. Now, this is a color phase that I know exists for this species, but I've never seen one that looks like this. Now, he would be out here feeding on all kinds of large vertebrates. Frogs and rodents are especially common in these guys' diets, and they're nocturnal and crepuscular, so they're out at night and also during dawn or dusk hours, pretty much any time except peak sunlight. These guys will be moving around. They're so cool. He's a super active snake. They spend most of their time down on the ground, so he might be a little bit confused as to why he's up in the air right now. You can see he's being really calm, just kind of checking me out here. This is definitely not a species that you have to fear. Snakes do inspire a lot of fear in people, especially a large black one like this, but he's truly a very, very gentle animal. If you're willing to give these animals a chance and just take a look at them up close, you can see there's really nothing to be afraid of at all. We'll let this guy get back on his way, so maybe he can keep hunting. There he goes. So cool, though. I absolutely love these snakes.
The tropical dry forest is an ecosystem under siege. 96% of the historic coverage of dry forest has already been destroyed for human development, and deforestation is still rampant in this region. In order to protect this rapidly disappearing habitat, we need to understand what species are out here and how the ecosystem functions overall, because this knowledge informs what kinds of management decisions are necessary to effectively maintain the health of the ecosystem. But with so little of the tropical dry forest left, that's easier said than done. The wildlife here is critically understudied, and even the species we have described are still unknown to most people. One thing is certain though, this ecosystem is in dire straits, which is why carrying out this mission now is so critical. I will say though, as we continued exploring the area, it started to make more sense why few people have heard of the wildlife here. We pushed deeper into the forest in search of more reptiles, but despite our best efforts, we weren't finding all that much. We decided to shift our focus to flipping cover to see if we could find some cool invertebrates, and it's a good thing that we did, because what we happened upon next was one of the weirdest creatures we've ever encountered.
Nothing. A couple ants, though. I can move this. Something. I don't want to call. Oh, wow, it is! Dude, that's an onychophoran. Hold on.
Whoa.
I need a leaf. I don't want to pick him up. No way. Come here, dude. I want to be so gentle. Oh,
you got him.
My God, it is. Look at that! This is one animal that I never expected to be able to see in the wild. Now, it may not look that impressive, but this is one of the weirdest invertebrates on the planet. That is a velvet worm. Now, there are over 200 species of these incredible little invertebrates, so it will be very difficult to figure out which one this is. There is so little research about these species. All of them are found in the tropics, they're distributed worldwide, and there are quite a few of them here in South America. Onychophorans belong to their own phylum of animals. So that is a really high level of taxonomic classification that would put them as evolutionarily distinct as something like arthropod or vertebrate. These things are completely unlike anything currently living on the planet. They call them velvet worms because if I were to touch him, which I'm really not going to do because they're so sensitive, apparently they feel just like velvet. And their bodies are quite elongated like that, so they do resemble worms, but their hunting strategy is completely unique. These animals feed primarily on smaller invertebrates, so they will eat things like springtails, isopods, ants, things like that. Pretty much anything they can overpower, actually. And the way they hunt is they feel around with those antennae that they use to perceive the world around them, waiting for something to come close enough. And when it does, they can actually spray a very sticky fluid out of glands on their head, and it entangles the prey, keeps it completely immobilized, and can actually start to paralyze it. So they can use large, curved jaws that they begin to bore a little hole into the invertebrate. And that is what they will be able to use to suck out the internal fluids of that animal and make a meal out of it. These animals evolved hundreds of millions of years ago and have remained virtually unchanged in that time. We definitely could not pass up the opportunity to share this animal, but we will let this guy go. They really do not like light, so we don't want to keep him out for too long. All right, buddy, let's get you back under your lock. There he goes. A brief encounter with one of the coolest animals we could have found. Oh, that's cool.
Finding a velvet worm was not something that was on our radar for this evening, and this unexpected success made us realize something. The challenges we were having finding wildlife weren't due to a lack of diversity, but rather how we were looking for it. Seeing a species as cool as a velvet worm hiding under a tiny log pile was proof that there are tons of incredible life stories that exist here, even in the most unassuming places. We just had to think a little smaller to find them. We had been covering a lot of ground to try to find bigger animals on the move. But when we slowed down and started examining the environment around us more carefully, the true diversity of the dry forest was revealed, as this place is a veritable kingdom of invertebrates. For creatures this small, a single tree can constitute an entire ecosystem, and just one plant can host many species of katydids feeding on the leaves, bizarre bark mantises lying in wait with immaculate camouflage on the trunk, and imposing huntsman spiders looking to make a quick meal of everything else, just to name a few. Bug hunting in the dry forest is intense, but our efforts were not in vain, as closely scanning the forest floor uncovered the find of the night. The biggest spider we have ever seen.
Huge tarantula. Wow.
All right, come here, Jude. He is gorgeous. No. Not that way. Not that way. Come here, you. All right, he doesn't mind my hand. They are primarily nocturnal hunters. What he would be doing out here is looking for any kind of large invertebrate or even an amphibian or a small mammal. Come here, dude. Now there we go. That's what we want. Wow, that was a chase, huh? But this is exactly what we wanted to prove. That these big, beautiful spiders are not out to get you. What I'm sure you're wondering is, we just found this animal out of the wild. It's a giant spider. Why are we holding it right off the bat? Well, I'll tell you. This tarantula, to my eye, looks like the genus Pamphobedius. Now, this is not a genus that is harmful to humans if it were to bite, and in fact, very few of the true tarantulas here in Ecuador would actually have a bite that's even medically significant. So this animal's bite would not be super harmful to us, just a little bit of pain. But the reality is, with all of the tarantulas we've ever worked with, as long as we are gentle and don't apply pressure to the top of the body, they really are not inclined to bite. And it appears that this individual is exactly the same. They do have another notable defense mechanism that this guy doesn't seem to be using either, but what they'll do is they have a bunch of hairs on the back of their abdomen that they can kick off with their back legs. They're called urticating hairs. If you're a predator trying to grab one of these guys and they kick off those hairs into your mouth and eyes, it's really irritating and can leave some pretty nasty damage. So even for us, we want to be nice and gentle with him, make sure that he's not stressed out at all, and he'll stay nice and calm like he's doing right now. And the truth is, you have to understand, this is an animal that, though it may look big and imposing, is significantly smaller than us. So to the tarantula, we actually look like the threat. We are the scary thing. Yeah, it would be easy for him to interpret this as a predation event, him being picked up off the ground or having to move him around just a little bit. This could be an incredibly scary encounter for this tarantula, but despite that fact, he's remaining incredibly calm, just sitting in Harrison's hands without any issue, and that is exactly what we were hoping to prove with this interaction. Tarantulas inspire so much fear.
That is true.
In so many people. But the reality is, as long as you're gentle, an interaction with one of these spiders can be completely benign. Now, we never recommend anyone go out and handle spiders on your own, but the reason we're doing this is to find out how these tarantulas really behave in the wild. But it's incredibly encouraging to see tarantulas moving around here in the dry forest. And just look at this guy. Is that not one of the coolest spiders you've ever seen? I know it is for me. Wow, and he's big. Definitely the biggest one we've seen so far. Super exciting find. And I think we'll let this guy get back on his way. All right, buddy. Go get something to eat. Ha, that is unreal. Nicely done, bro.
When we talk about the places in urgent need of conservation attention, tropical dry forests rarely enter the conversation. Everyone knows the value of protecting rainforests and coral reefs, but the dry forest is every bit as rich with life, and much of the wildlife that exists in this region of Ecuador can't be found anywhere else on the planet. What's interesting about the animals we found tonight is that they're all predators, and they each feed on very different kinds of prey, which means that in order for them to be supported, there must be a far larger community of animals present to form the food web that they are key players in. Not only that, but we didn't find any of these species during our time exploring the human-impacted forests, which suggests that in order to protect these irreplaceable life stories into the future, we need to conserve the small amount of healthy habitat that remains. This was just our first night of exploring the dry forest, and it's already apparent that there is so much more to learn about this place and the incredible animals that call it home. So we have a lot more work to do to truly understand the plight of this ecosystem and bring you the insider story. If you want to meet another cast of fascinating invertebrates that you may never have seen before, check out this video where we hunt for crazy insects in Pennsylvania using a very interesting technique, a light trap. And with that, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.